Hey guys, it's Jay Williams Productions.com coming at you with a video by request, a beat mixing tutorial. I'll be working with FL Studio 20 today, and we're going to mix a track. We're going to cover levels, touch on EQ, compression, and panning, and you'll get to witness me go through the process as we talk about it, learn about it. Alright, so before we get into this, what we're going to do is set goals for the mix. So begin with your end in mind. You want to have a clean and clear mix when we're done. Make sure it's appropriate to the genre. Keep your mix in the green and know the magic number. Your magic number, in case you do not know, is minus 0.6 dB on your dB meter. Anything above that is yellow or red. Anything below that is green. Keep it in the green. Alright, so first thing you want to do is prepare your mixing board, or you can import it into a template. I'm going to use a template, and I'll include the FLP as a download for you guys. On the master channel, we're going to have a limiter, EQ, compressor, another instance of EQ, and your most important plugin, your dB meter. Okay? And then each of your individual channels will have EQ and compressor. And if you like to use a reverb bus, like I like to use a reverb bus on my channel that's dedicated to reverb, I've got reverb, a delay bank, and EQ. So once your board is ready, you want to go ahead and import and label all your stems. Okay, so let's get through that much. So I'm going to start with my file that I've called, here I've called it Song Template for Stems. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it when I upload it. But what's happened in this template is we've just got everything, like I said, has been preloaded onto your master channel. You've got that stack of effects, and then each individual channel has simply just EQ and compression. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to use EQ and compression on each of your sounds, just letting you know that's what we've got set up there. Alright, so once you've got your board set up, go ahead and get your sounds onto your playlist area. And I'm just going to grab this stack of stems here from my desktop and scoot them over here. And let's clear that out of the way. We don't need that anymore. Let's go ahead and select all those stems. Do I have to do it that way? I guess I can drag them. There's not so many that I can't just drag them into place. I picked a project file that was pretty light in terms of stems. I think I'm dealing with maybe no more than 10 stems. And these colors are not very pretty. If you're into making things look pretty, you can go in and change your colors for greater visibility. So once you've got everything dragged into your playlist window, that's also going to place them all on your channel rack. So go to your channel rack, give that a double left click, then head over to your mixer. No, don't head over to your mixer. Let's start over. So you're on your channel rack, give that a double left click, and then give that a, how does this go? You're giving that double left click. Yep, and then yeah, you do go to your mixer board, and then you select your first channel, channel 1, not your master. Select channel 1, right click, say channel routing, route selected channels starting from this track. Okay, so if you do that in the right order, all that stuff is going to pop over on your mixing board, and it's already going to be going to be labeled for you when it lands on your mixing board. So that's kind of nice. All right, why can't I get this guy to wiggle a little bit? I think what I need to do is put him on detachment. Is he detached? Let's detach him real quick. Okay, now he's detached. FL Studio has this kind of annoying thing about everything's got its own window, but that's okay. All right. So then what we've got here, guys, we've got our mixing board. We've got, in this case, there's 10 stems there. Somehow we've got something called, Oh yeah, I had a stem called reverb bus. That's already confusing me. You know what, let's just get rid of that one. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. Sorry, I did blow the window. So somehow in my set of stems, I've got a stem called reverb bus, but we don't want to use that one because that's actually something that should happen in the mix. So let's go ahead and clear that guy out of there so he doesn't confuse us. Alright, so for now channel 8 is blank, then we've got channel 9 with a snare, channel 10 with citrus, and again I've got a little reverb bus set up over here on channel 15. Okay, so where are we? So far we've got all our sounds are on the mixing board. Each channel has the effects that we want to use. Alright, and then basically what we're doing here, guys, we're just going to go through stem by stem. We're going to clean each stem with EQ. I pretty much just use a high pass filter, which means any sound that's a higher frequency than where you set your filter will pass through, or a low pass filter, which means anything that is lower than your frequency will pass through. And I do, sparingly use notch filtering here and there to clean out unwanted frequencies within a narrow range. Okay? So again, let's go back and review this part because it's important. Know your magic number, -6 dB, and the most important plug-in in your entire DAW, guys, is your dB meter. Okay? So here's what I'm talking about. Let's go to my master chain. Bear with me as I get these windows to the right size. There we go. So we're on our master chain dB meter. This guy right here. It's your most important plug-in. Where is he hiding now? Oh, for heaven's sakes. Let's do this. Let's close all the windows. That was a window that didn't close. Alright, now let's go back. We're trying to find this guy. There he is, dB meter. Let's detach him. dB meter is your most important thing. Goal here to get that clean and what am I trying to say? I'm stumbling over my words. Clean and clear? Yeah, clean and clear mix. This is your magic number, the -6. Anything above that number is yellow and or red. Anything below that number is green. Green is good. Green is your friend. Green means no distortion. That's where your clarity comes from. Okay. And then when you get up into this range, that's where you're getting some loudness. It can come at the expense of clarity. And that range really you should reserve for your mastering process, and I might do another video about that. Okay, but for the mix, you want to keep everything below this magic number, the -6, everything's in the green. You can start really with any element. We'll just go through them one by one. So here I've got my 808. So I know this is a bass sound. Hang on one second, I'm going to turn this down here just so it's not so loud in my ear. I'll turn it back up before long. Okay, there it goes, that's fine. So yeah, we'll start with the 808. It's a bass sound. So this is actually a panning question. I'm kind of getting slightly ahead of myself or out of order. Bear with me here, guys. So at some point in here, we do want to do some panning. Did I write down? I didn't write it down. Well, we'll put it in right here. So we're going to clean each stem, but we're also going to panning. What goes where? Bass sounds, you want to run right up the middle. That means no panning. Panning, by the way, means you're pulling your sound left or right, okay? And then everything else is really your choice. It's your choice to go how far left, how far right. Some people like to pan things hard one way, hard the other way. I kind of like to pan things, I don't know, around 30% when I'm panning. It's a choice, okay? But you're going to tackle that when you're in your mix, okay? Going back to our 808. 808 is a bass sound, so he's going right up the middle of the mix. So we're not going to adjust panning. We're going to leave him right in the middle. We are going to apply some EQ, so let's see what he's doing in EQ. And a lot of this, I do have the sound going so you can hear what's going on, but a lot of this is really just kind of a visual process. So here's our EQ. And again, we're going to use filters. So we're going to take this blue guy and we're going to turn him into a low pass filter, which means means any sound that's below whatever frequency we set is going to pass through. And what we want to do here, the idea behind applying EQ really is you're just kind of carving out space in your mix where your different sounds can live. Okay? So in this example, this is a bass sound. If I don't apply the panning, I can see by my visual that this 808 is taking up space basically through my entire spectrum. On some, maybe not a lot, but on some level, if I don't apply some EQ, it's going to end up affecting my hi-hats, my treble, my mids, everything. And I don't want that. I want to keep it tight. This is, that again, that's a choice too. Like, how raw do you want it, or how polished do you want it to sound? Right now, I'm going to go for maybe a more polished mix, just for the sake of the video. Okay. So there's that. And then I kind of like that. So I know at some point I'm going to roll off some of these subs. I'm not worried about that right now. I'm just kind of going, okay, I can hear a good presence to that bass sound in my mix, and I can see visually it's not bleeding all over the mix. So I'm good with that. Now I'm going to check my level. Level's kind of high. So the way this works is to end up with a mix that's in the green. You want each of your individual stems to be in the green. Easiest way to think about it, okay? And we'll recheck these, but for now I'm just peeling him down to a reasonable level. I can see when he jumps up and peaks, he's peaking at about minus 15. So he's peaking still somewhere in the green range. Okay, I'm good with that. So let's move on. Channel 2 was another bass synth. So again, there's no need to pan this one. You can solo it. That really is kind of like, that really sounds more like my 808 than whatever that first channel was, but that's okay. They're both bass sounds. So same process. We're into channel number 2 now. We're going to go ahead and bring up the EQ. And we're going to decide how much space in the mix do we want this sound to take up. And we're going to carve out the rest. In this case, again, it's another bass sound. So I'm just going to start by creating a low pass filter and rolling that over to the left. Here, let me show you where I'm rolling so you can watch this. Using the EQ that I'm using is, always keeping an eye on my dB meter. The EQ that I'm using is just fruity parametric EQ too, okay? So I'm just rolling off that bass sound. Right here, rolling off the frequency. This number will control your width. Not really, doesn't really matter as much. I mean, it just controls like the sharpness right here. I'm kind of good with a gradual roll off. But I want it a little bit tighter than it is now. I want it somewhere in here. Maybe round that off a little bit. Something like that. Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds good to me. Alright, and then we've got the EQ. Let's check the levels on that one. Way too hot. Bring it down somewhere in here. Okay. And let's move on to the third sound. Now we're on something just called bloop. What the heck does bloop sound like? Let's find out. Bloop, where are you? Oh, that's kind of more of don't always trust the labels of your stems, obviously. Make sure you listen to the sound. That actually sounds more of, that's more of like a roll, like a snare even. That might need both high pass and low pass. Yeah, it's going to need both. Okay, so for this particular sound, guys, I'm applying both a high pass and a low pass filter because the bandwidth that it's meant to take up is right here in the middle. So I can roll off the low end because we've already EQ'd 2 sounds that are taking up this space over here. Right, so now with this purple filter, what I did was apply a high pass. You right click on it and select high pass. High pass, any sound above that frequency is going to pass through. It's just the mirror or polar opposite of what we're doing on the other side with the low pass. Just, keeping it tight. It's going to take up the space that it takes up. A little bit of bleed is not bad. Again, let's check our levels. I know that one's going to be kind of high, so we'll bring that one down like that. Okay, so in terms of panning, this sound is not really a bass sound, so we can push it. I'm going to push it right. Right now it's pushed about 36% right, just for fun. One thing that panning does is it can make it easier for the listener to hear the individual parts, as opposed to if everything's coming at you right in the middle of the mix. you know, with no panning, or what they call the center channel, it can be hard to you know, hard to even pick up that maybe there's a snare, or maybe there's a bell, or maybe there's a special sound that you know, is competing with something else in the middle of the mix. So panning can help with that. All right, let's go on to the clap. The clap, again, we're just going to apply the EQ, and we're going to use high and or low pass. This clap, I'm going to guess, oh yeah, he's taking a lot of space. So we can do a high pass right here. Just, he's not bleeding too much into the low end, but something like that. Oh yeah, see how much space that's taking up? That's a choice. I can leave it like that, or I can tighten it up. And by tightening it up, I'm controlling, you know, how it sounds and what effect does it have on the overall mix. You know, basically it just sounds like a drier clap, as opposed to if I leave this end open. Hold on, I'll show you guys. If I leave this side open, it's going to have more of a reverb or a wetter sound. I'm going to go for more of a drier sound for that clap. Alright, and then let's go ahead and bring that level back down. And again, a clap is not a sound that needs to live in the middle, so we can just go ahead and pan it. And when you're panning, it's always kind of fun to balance things out a little bit. So we pan the first one to the right, we're panning this one to the left. There's no, you know, right or wrong idea to this, guys. It's whatever you feel. All right, now we're getting into the hats on channel 5. Let's see what they're doing. Hats are probably going to be hot. They're going to be all, yeah, they're hot all the way on the, oops, that's a high pass. They're hot all the way on the treble side. Oh, they're taking up all that heat wave. See that? All that stuff there. For an old guy like me, some of those high sounds can get a little bit shrill. So I don't necessarily want to be too aggressive with my low pass here, or we'll lose the sound entirely. But I do want to roll off some of that extreme end. Let's hear that again. Where'd my hats go? Oh, there they are. Yeah, I'm gonna need to, yeah. I like that. That sounds tight without sounding too shrill, right? And again, it's a choice. So I applied high and low pass. Bring that down. We'll talk about, so far nothing's really needed compression, but it's there in case we need it. Okay, now somehow, there are probably those that will tell you to do your kick first, right? Somehow we're just now getting to the kick sound. That's okay. As long as you get to all of it, that's the main thing, right? And overall, you want to make sure that you can hear what you want to hear, and that you're keeping everything in the green, keeping it groovy, keeping it lower than it is now. It's still hot, but we're about halfway through this. So let's go through, where are we? We're doing this one, the kick. Yeah, that one's, it's not coming in so strong in this part that I feel like I want to roll off a lot of that. I'm just going to roll off a little bit to kind of keep it out of the highs. And that was that kick living on channel 6. And then again, I'm bringing the level down over here. And then we're going to go to number 7. Whoops. Sometimes I do the levels first. Again, it's really as long as all these things get taken care of, but it does make sense to do your EQ before you do your levels, because when you do your EQ, basically you're cutting sounds out of the mix, which is going to have a difference in your volume, in your dB, right? We're at my high pass, yeah. And this guy can go. I think we need a little more room on that side. Wasn't that kind of like a high mid? Where did the blip go? Can I get a blip? Nope, that's not the blip I want to work on. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's right there. So I pretty much pegged that one. It's just coming in hot. Right there, right at about 1400, 1488 hertz. So I'm good. I'm just rolling off above and below it. Actually, I can give a little bit more space to that second blip. It's kind of got like an echo blip. And then for that matter, I can roll it off a little bit that way. Yeah, something like that. And then we'll bring that one down. All right, and then channel 8 we were ignoring, right? That was that extra reverb bus that we had. So now we're on channel 9, that's a snare. Snares can take up all kinds of space in a mix, yeah. Like, see how this guy's coming in at the low mids and bleeding all the way out. So I'm definitely going to want to tighten that one up. Again, it's a high pass on that side, high pass on the left, and low pass on the right. Be easier to remember if it were the other way around on that, right? And go low pass on the left, but no, LL, no, that would be too easy. All right, so we're just going to make a little bit of space, just tightening up that snare sound a little bit. And then we're down to number 10. Number 10 is like our synth lead, okay? So this is where I probably don't want to pan this sound. We could pan this one. I missed one. We can push that one over to the left a little bit. Your snare wants to stay in the middle. This one I probably don't want to pan that sound because it's the lead melody as much as this track has a melody. It's coming from channel 10. So we want to kind of leave that one in the middle to guide the listener through the track. Okay, so let's go ahead and go straight to the EQ on that one. Yeah, I'm just going to do a little bit of low pass and a little bit of high pass. Not a lot. I don't want to be too aggressive here. I really want pretty much all those sounds to cut through. I'm just going to tighten it up just a little bit. Something like that. All right. And then again, we can see over here that's peaking way too high. We'll bring that down. Okay, so where are we? I don't know how we're doing on time. Where are we in our mix? Oh yeah, panning, we took care of that. EQ, high pass, low pass. So far we haven't had to do any notch filtering. Compression we can talk about. We're pretty much on to the final tweaks. Okay, so when would we compress? You know, we can actually go ahead and compress the lead. So what compression does is smooshes a sound, just like it sounds. It's a compression. It smooshes a sound. How much it smooshes the sound is going to depend on your settings, but it's always going to smoosh the sound. And then more often than not, we want to take that sound that's been smooshed and bring it back up. Overall, depending on how you use compression, it can make things sound louder or quieter. What it actually does is it just decreases the amount of what do you call that? Variance, the amount of dynamic variance, right? So let's go ahead and we'll just compress channel 10 just because we've got all these compressors loaded, and it'll be a good one to, we can kind of tighten up the sound of that compressor with that one. All right. So the compressor, we're going to, I'm just going to pick like a vintage compressor. Your threshold, okay, now we can, let's bring this back over here. So your threshold is basically telling the compressor at when should it start smooshing sounds. How far up can the peak get before the compressor starts smooshing it down? And you can just kind of play with that, listen to it. Also, you can watch what it does. So for example, what we're doing, again, we're compressing channel number 10 over here. I'm going to give it like a 4:1. Like a 4:1 compression, so that's every 4 dBs are now been smooshed down to 1, but then we're going to go ahead and boost that back up over here with the gain. Okay, that's sounding pretty good. I think I actually can, if we go this way with it, that's going to lower the sound back down. I do want the sound to rise back a little bit higher in the mix, so we're going to raise the threshold for that one, something like that. We'll check it one more time. I'm also going to turn it up in my ear. I like it. I like it. So now overall, that particular sound is going to peak the hottest, That might be actually a little bit hotter than what I want. Maybe we're just going to do something like about an even push on the gain, or even come down a little bit more and even come down a little bit more here. Okay, good. So now we've basically carved out space on every individual stem. Our overall mix now should be peaking a lot lower. Remember when we started we were peaking way up here, but now we're just going to concentrate on finishing this up at the master channel. Here's where I will typically apply not a lot, but a little bit of high pass and low pass for the actual final bounce, because remember, whatever goes through this mix is what's going to be left to deal with in the mastering phase. So if there's anything that you don't want someone else to mess with, or yourself to mess with if you're doing your own mastering, this is where you want to carve it out. I'm just carving out some, again, I don't want too much rawness on the high end, nor do I want too much thump coming in on the low end. We can go ahead and add some compression. I pretty much will always do that on the master out. Just tightens up the sound overall. You know, I guess everything else being equal, I'd just as soon leave everything raw and uncompressed, but that's not a commercial sound. It's not a commercial sound. All right. So yeah, something like that is looking pretty good. I think I probably don't need to bring that up. I can probably just leave it compressed, and it looks like it's staying right in the range that we want it to stay. If anything, it might be a little bit low. I can raise the... Yeah, look at that. Nice. Raise the threshold on my compressor a little bit. Right, so by raising the threshold again, the compressor is waiting a little bit longer before it smooshes the sound. I'm basically smooshing it and then bringing it back up to the pre-smoosh level, which will have the net effect of having it sound louder. And I like it's. I'm not super concerned if there's maybe a stray peak here or there that's going to cross that -6. Overall, I can see I'm at -6, so I'm going to bounce that out, call it a mix, and then go ahead and master it. And then just for fun, I'll go ahead and post, you know, the mixed version and the unmixed version or raw version. I'll post them up on the SoundCloud so you guys can check that out. And thanks for checking out the video. I hope you got something of value out of it. If there's anything else you guys want to know that I can weigh in on, I'd be happy to do so. You can learn more about me and my team at jwilliamsproductions.com. Also, I'll give a quick shout out to Michael over in the Mix. Fantastic resource for everything related to music production and FL Studio 20. Okay, bye guys. Take care. Stay safe.